Choosing a fixed indexed annuity can feel overwhelming. Not because the concept is complicated, but because most people are shown options before they're shown how to think about the decision. When that happens, it's hard to know what actually matters. This masterclass is about how to choose a fixed indexed annuity in a way that actually fits how the money is meant to be used. We'll walk through the decision framework professionals use, so you understand what drives the recommendation, not just what's being recommended. This is designed for people who want to make a thoughtful decision, people who want clarity before they look at options, and who want to understand the trade-offs involved, not just the highlights. By the end of this masterclass, you'll understand the key factors that determine whether a fixed indexed annuity makes sense and what type makes sense for your situation. We'll cover how growth-focused and income-focused annuities differ, how guarantees and upside are structured, and how to avoid the misalignments that cause people to feel unsure later. The goal here is to give you a clear way to evaluate your options, so when you do look at specific annuities, you're doing it with context. And if you want to learn how to choose indexing options inside your fixed indexed annuity, we've done a separate masterclass that focuses entirely on that. You'll find the link above and in the description. Let's start with the framework that drives the entire decision. When professionals select a fixed indexed annuity, they don't start with products. They start by understanding what the money is actually meant to do. That single question determines almost every decision that follows. Is this money primarily meant to grow? Is it meant to generate income? Or is it meant to do both at different stages? Until that role is clear, comparing annuities doesn't lead anywhere useful. The next factor is time. How long is this money expected to work before it's needed? A longer time horizon allows for different structures than money that needs to be accessed sooner. This affects liquidity, guarantees, and how growth is designed. Some annuities are built primarily for accumulation. Others are built primarily to generate income. Trying to force one to behave like the other is where confusion starts. One of the most overlooked factors is behavior. How comfortable are you with variability in outcomes? Some structures reward patience. Others prioritize predictability. Neither is inherently better, but mismatching structure and behavior creates frustration. When these factors are clear, the annuity selection process becomes far more straightforward. Structure comes first. Details come second. Now that the framework is clear, we can look at how growth-focused annuities are designed. Let's start with growth-focused fixed indexed annuities. These are designed for money that is primarily meant to accumulate over time, not generate income right away. The goal here is long-term growth with protection from market loss. Within growth-focused annuities, there are two common structural approaches. Neither one is universally better. They're built for different preferences and priorities. Some growth annuities offer an upfront premium bonus. For example, a 20% bonus on a $300,000 deposit would immediately credit an initial value of $360,000. That higher starting value is guaranteed from day one. In exchange for that upfront guarantee, these designs typically offer lower participation rates or caps on growth. That means less upside potential over time. People who choose this structure often value certainty and early guarantees more than maximum long-term compounding. Other growth annuities do not offer an upfront bonus. Instead, they start with the full deposit amount and aim to maximize growth potential through higher participation rates or caps. These designs typically provide more upside over long periods, but without an initial boost. This approach often appeals to people who are comfortable letting growth develop over time. They're less focused on early guarantees and more focused on long-term accumulation. The outcome can be stronger, but it is less defined up front. The decision between these two growth structures isn't about which one performs better in a spreadsheet. It's about how much certainty you want at the beginning versus how much upside you're willing to pursue over time. Once that preference is clear, selecting a growth-focused annuity becomes much simpler. Next, we'll look at annuities designed primarily to generate income and how those structures differ. Income-focused fixed-indexed annuities are designed for money that is intended to generate income in the future. Instead of focusing primarily on account growth, these structures are built around how income will be produced and sustained over time. The key difference between income annuities comes down to how defined that income is up front. Some income annuities are designed so that the income amount is known in advance. At the time of enrollment, you can see how much guaranteed lifetime income will be available at different future ages. This structure prioritizes certainty and predictability. People who choose defined income structures often value knowing what their income will be before they ever turn it on. That clarity can make planning simpler and reduce uncertainty around future cash flow. The trade-off is that income growth is more controlled and less influenced by future performance. Other income annuities are designed so that future income is influenced by market performance over time. Instead of being fully defined upfront, the income base grows based on indexing results during the accumulation period. This allows for more upside potential, but less certainty early on. With this structure, income can end up higher if performance is strong. But the exact income amount isn't known until later because it depends on how the income base develops over time. This approach appeals to people who are comfortable with variability in exchange for potential upside. The choice between income structures isn't about which one is better. It's about whether you prefer income that is defined early or income that has more room to grow over time. Both approaches can be appropriate, as long as the structure matches how the income is intended to be used. Now that you've seen how growth and income annuities differ, we can look at where indexing strategy fits into these structures and where it doesn't. Before moving on, there's an important boundary to set. Indexing strategy is important, but it is not the starting point when selecting a fixed indexed annuity. It only makes sense after the structure of the annuity is right. Indexing strategy should reinforce the purpose of the annuity, not override it. When indexing becomes the main focus too early, structure gets distorted. That's when otherwise reasonable annuities start to feel disappointing. In growth-focused annuities, indexing strategy supports how growth is meant to occur. Simpler growth structures tend to work best with repeatable, consistent strategies. The value comes from staying the course, not constant adjustment. More flexible growth structures can support a wider range of strategies. That flexibility can add value, but only when it matches the person using it. Complexity without intention rarely improves long-term results. In income-focused annuities, indexing plays a different role. Here, indexing is less about maximizing growth and more about supporting how income is produced. In more defined income structures, indexing supports stability. In more flexible income structures, indexing can influence how income grows over time. This introduces more potential upside, but also more variability. That trade-off needs to match how the income is intended to be used. If indexing strategy feels like the main decision, something earlier was skipped. The right order is always the same. First, determine the role of the money. Then, select the appropriate structure. Only after that, does indexing strategy come into play. When structure and indexing are aligned, decisions tend to hold up. When they aren't, even good annuities can feel wrong. That's where most mistakes happen, and that's what we'll look at next. Even smart people can end up frustrated with an annuity. Not because the annuity was bad, but because the structure didn't match how the money was actually meant to be used. Most issues come down to a small number of misalignments. One common issue is choosing an annuity structure that doesn't match the primary goal of the money. For example, expecting income behavior from a growth-focused annuity or long-term growth from an income-first design. When the role of the money isn't clear, the structure can't do its job properly. Another misalignment happens when expectations don't match how guarantees actually work. Some structures offer more defined outcomes, while others allow more room for upside over time. Problems arise when someone expects both at the same time. A third issue is adding complexity without a clear reason. More features, more options, or more flexibility don't automatically lead to better results. If the structure requires active decision-making, but the person prefers simplicity, frustration is almost guaranteed. When structure, expectations, and behavior are aligned, annuities tend to work exactly as intended. When they aren't, even well-designed products can feel wrong. This is why understanding alignment matters more than chasing features. Now that you've seen where misalignment occurs, we can put the issuing company in proper perspective. At some point in the process, people naturally start thinking about the insurance company behind the annuity. That's reasonable, but it's also an area where people often give the company too much weight or not enough. The issuing company matters because it stands behind the guarantees in the annuity. Financial strength and stability are important. But beyond that, the company itself is not the strategy. Insurance companies don't offer just one annuity. They offer a range of annuities designed for different purposes. What matters most is whether a company offers the type of structure that fits what you're trying to accomplish. Professionals don't start by asking which company is best. They start by determining the structure that fits the goal. Then they work within financially sound companies that offer that structure. When structure comes first, the company decision becomes far less stressful. You're no longer trying to solve the entire market. You're choosing between appropriate options that already fit your needs. Your role is to be clear on what the money is meant to do. An experienced advisor works behind the scenes to align that goal with suitable annuity structures and financially sound companies. That's how the process stays focused and manageable. With that context in place, we can bring everything together and close out the framework. At this point, you know what goes into selecting the right fixed indexed annuity. You've seen how professionals think about structure first before looking at details, and how different designs serve different purposes. If you'd like help applying this framework to your own situation, that's what we do. The goal is not pressure or product pushing. It's alignment between your goals and the structure you choose. If you want to learn how to choose indexing options inside your fixed indexed annuity so they align with your goals, we've done a separate masterclass focused entirely on that. You'll find the link on the screen and in the description. Thanks for spending the time. I'll see you in the next masterclass.